In 2008, one swimsuit helped set 23 world records at a single Olympics. The performance jump was so dramatic that it triggered a genuine controversy. Critics called it technological doping. 18 years later, engineers are still redesigning shoes, swimsuits, and prosthetics to push athletes faster. So, what is the ethical line in sports performance technology? Hello Circuiteers, this little textile-only guy here follows every rule in the book. No performance help, no drama. But in 2008, Speedo's LZR Racer sparked a controversy some say came from being engineered to perfection. Ahead of the 2008 Beijing Olympics, Speedo's engineers had a problem to solve. How do you cut drag, the natural resistance created by the water opposing the body's forward movement? Their answer was the LZR Racer. Built with the help of researchers from NASA, they ran the fabric through wind tunnels and water flumes usually reserved for spacecraft design. The engineering worked almost too well. The full-body NASA-engineered suit used polyurethane panels to increase buoyancy and compress the body, and reduced skin friction drag by 24% more than the previous Speedo racing suit fabric. At that single 2008 Beijing Olympics, swimmers wearing the Speedo LZR Racer captured 23 of 25 world records, including Michael Phelps, who won a historic 8 gold medals. The Olympics say it was the moment technology went too far. The controversy was known as technical doping, which refers to the use of equipment like swimsuits that provide an unfair athletic advantage. Olympic regulators studied the LZR Racer data, and by 2010 banned polyurethane suits outright, requiring textile-only materials going forward. It's a pattern engineers know oh so well. Build something that works, then watch the rulebook race to catch up with it. Swimming wasn't the only sport that engineering reshaped. Exhibit B, the modern running shoe, which should honestly come with an unfair advantage warning label, I mean, just saying. Runners' shoes look simple, but the engineering underneath is anything but. Modern super shoes pair a rigid carbon fiber plate with a new class of ultra-responsive foam, engineered to act like a spring, storing energy when your foot lands and firing it back when you push off, so you can run the same pace while working less. Nike's Vaporfly and Alphafly were the first super shoes on the market, and they delivered fast. Olympic champion Eliud Kipchoge wore one when he became the first person to run a marathon in under 2 hours, and Kelvin Kiptum wore one to set the official marathon world record at the 2023 Chicago Marathon. Every major brand followed with their own version. Records fell fast enough that engineers at World Athletics had to step in. In 2020, they drew a hard technical limit. No more than 40 millimeters of stack height, which is the thickness from foot to ground, and no more than one rigid embedded plate. But what happens when the unfair advantage argument gets flipped onto athletes with disabilities? In the summer of 2018, American double amputee Blake Leeper sprinted the 400 meter in 44.42 seconds, breaking the previous record. Was this talent, or did his blades give him an engineered advantage? That year, Leeper visited Elena M. Grabowski's Applied Biomechanics Lab as one of the subjects in their Sprinting with Prosthetics versus Biological Legs study. Fast forward to 2020, Grabowski and her co-authors present their preliminary test results to the Court of Arbitration for Sports on behalf of Leeper, whose application to compete in World Athletics events was being reviewed. The authors' findings proved that the engineered blades weren't creating an advantage. It was rebuilding a level playing field, but Leeper's application was rejected anyway. World Athletics' decision wasn't based on engineered speed. It was based on height. World Athletics has a maximum allowable standing height rule. They said that Leeper's blades gave him a leg length of 104 centimeters and a standing height of 184 centimeters, ultimately giving him a competitive advantage over athletes not using them. Even though in a previous study, Grabowski and her colleagues had found that height makes no difference when it comes to maximum sprinting speed. In 2022, Grabowski and her co-authors study, Sprinting with Prosthetics versus Biological Legs, Insight from Experimental Data, was published in the British journal Royal Society Open Science. Leeper later appealed the World Athletics' decision and lost. And that's the thing about technology. It changes just like that. So, what is the ethical line in sports performance technology? There isn't one fixed line. Engineers, regulators, and athletes keep redrawing it, suit by suit, shoe by shoe, blade by blade. Because every time engineering moves forward, someone has to ask whether it should. And if you enjoyed this week's episode of The Circuit News, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click those bell notifications for more incredible engineering. See you next week. And a special thank you to the Ming Shea Institute at USC Viterbi for making this episode possible.